welcome to Keeping It Together with the Sampsons, our very first episode. We are so excited that you decided to join us tonight. And basically, we just want to share some key nuggets with you to help strengthen your relationship.
Absolutely.
So, you agree, Daryl?
Totally agree. Totally agree. I was having a conversation with one of my coworkers, and we brought up, the subject was brought up concerning pictures. Picture. If you look right here, I accidentally sent this picture via text to him, and the question came like, "Man, that's your bedroom?" I was like, "Yeah, sure is." And went on, further down in the conversation. I had to explain to him and let him know that, "Nah, bro, that's not our bedroom. That's actually a backdrop. That's a picture." Mm-hmm. And he was totally blown away by it, and I was blown away myself at the fact that this looked like a real setting.
Right.
A lot of times, I've since been out here in California and going on set with the girls, and just seeing how a lot of things are set up. Some of the stuff we watch on TV is really not a for real setup. Well, it's a setup, but it's what you're looking at could be fictitious,
right? Not
the real thing. And what I've come to find out is in this thing called marriage, and I'm speaking from experience, not just in marriage, in your relationship, your courtship, whether you booed up, boyfriend, girlfriend, 20 years in the game, newlyweds, you have to be careful at how you or what you present.
Right.
What are you talking about, Daryl? What is it that people see? When I sent him the picture, he saw our bedroom. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of times when people see you or see the couple, you as one, right, together, what is it do they really see? Let me help you understand a little bit better. Monica and I been married going on 20 years. Mm-hmm. I remember there was a time we were going through, and I'm telling you, we two Scorpios, I'm not afraid to say it. I like to have the last word at times.
Me too.
You see, that don't work all the time. And I had to learn the hard way. But along with that territory came times where at home, we both trying to have the last word, which would cause an argument, a disagreement,
right,
going to bed mad, going to bed angry, upset, not saying anything to each other for 2 or 3 days. There came a time when it was time for us to go out. Mm-hmm. And when I mean go out in public.
Right.
Let's just say going to church.
Right.
I'll deal with that. We're at church, and we're at church all like this and stuff, all like this. And so Monica, out in public, I'm more affectionate now.
Right.
20 years of working on me, but
right,
back in the days, Monica she used to come out of nowhere and just
rubbing on him,
like she a usher at the church, and I'm like
rubbing on him,
and I'm like, babe, don't, I wasn't rude about it, but I was, kind of like Malcolm X movie, get your hands out my pocket. But she, and I'm like, it got to the point to where because of what was happening at home, but when we got out in public, what we're at home is like this,
right?
But when we're out in public, it's like this. And so she'll do one of these numbers, and I'm like saying to myself, in my mind, I'm thinking, now, she rubbing on my shoulder and my back like it's all hunky-dory.
Right.
In front of these people. Mm-hmm. But when we get home, she really want to have nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that's just an example. But what I'm trying to say is, what I'm getting to is, do people see the reality?
Wow.
In your relationship?
Wow. Or
do they see fakeness in your relationship?
Perception.
What is it? Yeah, your perception. What is it that people see when they see your relationship status? Mm-hmm. We're going to tap into perception
versus reality.
Perception versus reality.
Right.
And Monica, tell us what you said, because she got a revelation that was pretty dope when I was telling her about my coworker, how, he thought, I could have fooled him. He thought that this was actually real.
Right.
But I told him, I said, no, it's just a backdrop. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. It's not on the stand. We decided to put it on the wall.
Right.
And it's a nice bed. It looks cozy. It looks comfy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what did you say?
It's a wall behind it. So basically, because he thought it was a bedroom, an actual bedroom and it's really just a mural on the wall, I'm like, perception is so powerful because, you know, it can cause us to go in error. It can cause pain to us. It can cause hurt to us because, like I told Daryl, I said, well, he thinks that's my bedroom. Let him try to go jump in the bed. I bet you when he try to jump in this bed, he going to come out with a concussion probably because that's a wall behind this little painting. And so, you know, we have to be very, very careful of the perception that we are portraying. I was thinking about it. I was like, wow, perception versus reality, because a lot of times, and let me just read to you right quick what I found in Dr. Webster, what he said about perception. Perception is a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something, a mental impression. And of course, how do we perceive things? By what we see, hear, what we feel. That's how we perceive things. And so then I looked up the word reality. Mm-hmm. Reality is the state of things as they actually are, or as they exist, as opposed to an idealistic idea of it. And so he thinking, you know, this was reality. This was a real bed. This was a real bedroom set. But the reality of the matter is, it's just a backdrop. There is nothing real about this. And a lot of times in relationships, guys, I'm telling you, our perception can be so off. And one thing about relationships, whether you're married, dating, whatever, booed up, homeboy, homegirl, communication, and we'll always hit on communication concerning relationships because it is one of the most vital things that a relationship must have in order for it to grow, in order for it to prosper, in order for it to be what it should be. So when you're in a relationship, communication between you and the other person is very key, because sometimes, now, Daryl, be honest, in times past, outside of us, when you've had a relationship, there have been times, can you agree, that the female perceived the relationship to be something other than what you perceived it to be?
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
But that comes when there is a lack of communication, right? Like, absolutely. There can be a dude where he's like, well, the girl can be like, well, that's my boyfriend because he spends time with me, he buy me stuff, he take me places. So she can be thinking, okay, that's my boyfriend, we boyfriend and girlfriend, we platonic, we, this is a relationship. And he can be just like, no, we friends with benefits, and so that comes from a lack of communication. She's thinking one thing and then he's thinking another thing, which, her perception is, hey, we good, and his reality is, no, we ain't like that. You just my homegirl. Right. And so, I think that's very key, where communication needs to be a solid foundation concerning any relationship, so what the status of your relationship is, basically. Absolutely.
That if I may, Monica, communication as it relates to relationship is very key.
Yes.
A lot of people have fallen prey to just plain out ignorance.
Right.
Simply because you don't communicate.
Right.
I tell my son all the time, he's in college, I say, son, you have to let me know. You have to let your mom know what's going on. Right. I've dealt with that, even as a son, as a grown man, communicating. Right. I remember my dad telling me one time, Daryl, I ain't heard from you in about 3 months.
Yeah.
You say something, and y'all know who I'm talking about. So you have to communicate, right. Not just with that significant other.
Right.
Opening up your mouth and talking,
right,
will decrease a lot of confusion, yes, and unnecessary fallouts,
right,
in life, period.
Right.
Communication is very vital and very key.
Right.
I found that out operating just in ministry, in corporate America.
Right.
You have to talk. You talk about any and everything else, so why not communicate?
Right.
And then don't just communicate on the level to make you feel good.
Right.
Communicate to the point to where if it has to take you to where you have to go about a confrontation, yeah, communicate. Yeah. Talk about it. Exactly. But it's especially in relationships especially, you have to communicate.
Right.
That's good, Monica. That's
right.
It does have its pros and advantages.
Right. Because and then another thing, let me just hit on communication and we'll move, it basically gives you a solid foundation as to where your relationship stands, so that you'll know what's working and what's not working. And if you don't voice, you guys' opinions and how you feel, it's kind of like you'll end up being blindsided to a certain extent, because like I said, you're not on the same page. And so sit down, have that conversation. I don't care, if one person gets offended, tell the truth, be real about it. So, and another thing, babe, perception and reality. The thing I love about that is I want my the perception and my reality to mirror each other. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't want people to look at me or our relationship and be like, oh, they got the perfect marriage and their marriage is in heaven. But then, like you said, we get home and it's hell. No. Absolutely. And trust me, there will be times when the relationship has its issues. It has its problems.
Yeah.
But
it's all about keeping it together.
Right. And that's every relationship.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
My thing is when others look at me, which a lot of people say, I don't care what people say when they look at me or what they think well, you're not supposed to a certain extent, but when people do look at my relationship, I want them to see someone that's whole. I want them to see someone who has something great. It may not be perfect, but it's great. You Absolutely. Know what I'm saying? So perception and reality, I want the two to mimic one another.
Is it possible for a couple to stand in front of a mirror and see exactly what people see without pointing fingers at one another?
It is very possible, but that takes experience. That takes work. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times when we're young in relationships, that's all we're doing is pointing the finger. Mm-hmm. If something's not going right, if I'm feeling it, I'm in my feelings, I'm feeling a certain way, you done offended me, you done something that hurt me, all I can do is point fingers. That takes experience, that takes time, that takes commitment to get to that level. Where it's like I'm in an argument with you, I'm in a confrontational moment with you, but I'm not doing this.
So it's fair to say that before we try to step into the mirror ourselves,
right,
one should examine their own selves.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's very important and vital as you deal with perception and reality.
Right.
It wasn't until I took a look, at self and began to examine Daryl to realize that there were some things that I needed to work on, that even though she was pointing a finger at me,
10.
Even though, whatever. Even though she was pointing a finger at me, I began to listen.
Right.
And I began to reevaluate by standing in the mirror, looking at thy own self, and saying, okay, Daryl, you know what? Maybe you were wrong in this side. Maybe you did have an issue with saying, I'm sorry.
Right.
Before she have to acknowledge the fact that you have an issue with saying, you know what I'm saying? So, how do you perceive your own self?
Right.
Would be a great exercise
for
you to do, and then as well as a couple.
Well, and then another thing too, I kind of feel like perception is a good thing though, because I perceive, like, when we first got married, I perceived that we would have a great marriage. I perceived that we would be together forever. I perceived that a lot of stuff that happened in our marriage, I didn't perceive that, but some things, my goals and aspirations, as far as our relationship, I perceived a long time ago.
Right.
And so it's good to have a perception of where you want your relationship to go, but again, you must deal with the reality of where it currently is.
I like that.
Now I'm finna say something, because this has been the status of us at some point in time, where, like Daryl was saying, the argument at home and you not stop speaking to one another, and then you go out in the public and you got like, everything is gravy or whatever. But I realized that in order for me to reach, or my relationship to reach its greatest potential, if I go ahead and deal with the reality of the matter where it is, because you've got to deal with the real in reality. You've got to understand and get a clear vision of, okay, we're here.
Right.
We want to be here.
Right.
But we're here. So let's deal with where we're at and take the proper necessary steps to ensure that we'll get to where we want to get to. So it's good to have a great perception of where you want your marriage or you want your relationship to be, but always deal with where you're at right now, because you'll never get there if you don't deal with here. You know what I'm saying?
I know. I kind of just got caught up in the moment because I like when she
this
get
ain't
talking.
Time for all that. You got to come on talk with the
Shuck
people
it,
now.
ducky.
Anyway,
I'm sorry, I lost myself. I'm
so
back.
Again, guys.
That's good.
And look, you know what? There have been times like with Daryl, and I'll just really be personal with some stuff right now. Yeah. But as we go on, we'll share more and more.
Keeping it
like
together.
There have been times like with Daryl concerning and I know you guys have heard him say this before, and there have been a lot of things that I didn't like about him. Like, trust me, he was no knight in shining armor. He was, baby, I'm not dissing you, but I'm just saying, 20 years, that's a lot of work that happened with you. I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying? And he needs still some more work, like me too, but he's come a long way. But anyway, like he mentioned before, he used to never say he's sorry.
Won't give me my props.
Even if God himself stepped out of heaven and showed him the truth, and it was opposite of what he was saying, he wouldn't come back and say, okay, I'm sorry. Nope. So I hated that about him, because I'm like, you prideful beast. I'm like, you can at least say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, even if it's proven to you, like, oh my God, it's in black and white. So it's like, I had to kind of like, oh my God. But anyway, so even with dealing with that, I had to be honest with him. Like I was saying, perception, sometimes when you sit and you talk and you be real about a situation, some people can get offended by you telling the truth of how you feel about them. How they make you feel, because they may not understand what you're talking about. Well, I ain't do nothing. Why you all in your feelings? No, but I'm explaining to you, from my point of view, how I feel, what the things that you do and how it offends me. And so a lot of people don't like to sit and be real about situations, because it puts them in the hot seat, and they get offended and they get upset, right, and they don't want to understand what the other person is saying. But again, guys, in order for your relationships to grow, in order for your relationships to soar, you're going to have to deal with some real situations and some real issues and tell the truth, even if the other person kind of gets drugged under the table. But I'm just telling you what you do, how it makes me feel. Right. And so the other person should just be kind of open to that,
Be open to it, very open to it.
Yeah.
Again, we want to thank everybody for chiming in. Melton, explain your question in a little bit more in detail. Are we supposed to care what people think? Because there's different angles we want to go with that. So drop back in the comments and explain yourself a little bit more, because we want to answer that.
Well, let me say this. Now, when it comes to their judgment, because there's a difference in the truth and judgment. First of all, there's a truth in being real and just being messy. When it comes to people's judgment, I could care less, because you could be doing all the right things and people will judge you and say, no, you're wrong, you're this, you're that, and it's all negative. But when you know that you are being true to you and that you are doing the right thing, I don't care what you think. I don't care how you feel. So I think, and then another thing, like with our relationship, I care about how people feel, as far as when they look at us, what do they see? But again, it goes back to, are you being judgmental, or are you really seeing the truth of the situation? Are you really seeing the truth of the matter, the truth of who we really are?
Right.
Because like I said, you could be doing everything right. You can have a great relationship. You can have a good job, and people will still rah concerning you and yours. So I think it's you have to kind of just weigh out, if a person is being judgmental or if they speaking truth.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Hope that kind of answers your question.
That's
how I feel. No right or wrong answer. That's just how I feel.
Right. Okay. Let's jump on into
let's deal with the married couple.
All right.
As far as perception and reality, because there are couples out there, and I won't keep saying there are couples out there, because trust me, guys, we have been through a lot of this, and sometimes we still go through issues. If Now, let's just say I'm someone who treats you like crap. We're married, right?
You have treated me like crap.
I talk to you like a dog. I don't I disrespect you.
One time Fiesta.
I disrespect you. Kind of like not cussing you out, but I kind of talk to you like you're lower than me. Like I kind of belittle you in the way I handle you. In other words, Dale used to tell me that I treat him like he my son.
Tell the whole truth. Stay in the church and at the park.
I'm like, what? That is so retarded. I'm married to you. How can I treat you like you my son? Whatever. But anyway, he was right.
Hold on.
He was right.
Okay, don't. But anyway,
he was right. Anyway. You know how when you talk to your spouse and it's kind of like, well, you need to hurry up, and you all in public, and it's like, come on, you need to keep up. That kind of stuff that you do to children. That's what I was, kind of doing to him out in the public.
Punking me, in other words.
Yeah, punking him out in the public. So I perceive now. Look, guys, because of the way I was raised. Let me just put this out here. A lot of times, and I've been to school where they say you're either a product of your nature or nurture, whatever who you was raised around, how you grew up, or the environment, whatever. Well, I grew up with a mama. I didn't have no daddy. All right, so let's just put that out there. I mean, I have a dad, but he wasn't in the house. So I grew up with a mother who was strong-willed. When I say strong-willed, like, oh my God, she ruled everything. And if you come in her path, you're going to get ruled too. She's going to tell you how she feel. How you feel, she'll take it into consideration. But at the end of the day, what she feel is what she feel, and that's what it's going to be.
Keeping it real.
So,
Barbara Jackson.
My mom, and she has a way with her words and her mouth. Yes, Lord. So I got it honestly. So with me growing up with my mom and seeing her so strong-willed and strong-minded, I started acting like her and didn't even realize it. And that's where that dominant and that semi-controlling, because I wasn't just Jezebel controlling, but I did have that little, I'm older and I have the upper hand on you or whatever.
I think she just tried to punk me.
I didn't try to, baby. It was just something in me. I was
a little scrungy, nothing.
No, listen, guys. Sometimes you don't even know something is in you until you get into a relationship, and then that person turn around and tell you, you rude, and you be like, rude? You don't know that until someone pointed out to you. So I had never had no one to tell me, don't talk to me like that. I'm not your son. So, so
I ain't say it like that.
So I didn't know I had that in me, but I had got it honestly from a strong-willed mother because her word was bond. And so, so I perceived that when I talked to him like that it was okay. That's the way I communicate. Hey, you ain't got no problem with it, right? But when he let me know that he had a problem with it, he was like, no, the reality of the matter is you perceive me to be your son or one of your sons, or you perceive me to be a punk. You perceive that you can talk to me and treat me that way, but you can't. So he let me know, realistically, I'm not having that. So I was like, oh, okay. So married couples.
Put my foot down.
So married couples, and this goes for singles as well, but if you're married, let me deal with the married people. If you're married and your spouse is doing things and acting out in ways that, it's displeasing to you, it's just not right. Well, if you continue to let them do that and you never say anything, again, that communication thing,
that's right.
You never say anything. Well, they perceive that they can do that's okay, that you're okay being treated like that. So you need to pull the reality plug and be like, this is not okay, and yeah, it may hurt their feelings or they may get mad, but you got to be real about the situation. This thing is hurting you. This thing is stressing you out. This thing is depressing you. And so you got to start communicating so that they won't perceive that they can do that no more.
In that same vein,
I forgot to start our time.
Child, please. That time. Okay. I grew up the same way, so I got checked on that
the other day. I didn't realize that I understand. Exactly, Cedric.
See, and it's like Monica was saying, she had no one to call her coattail on.
Right.
In the same vein, I was the same woman that we're talking about, where she got that energy from, was the same woman that told me prior to that you need not to be a coward.
Yeah.
You need to not, you a punk.
Yeah.
You know, stand up.
Yeah.
You know, stop crying, be a man. So not only in certain instances, but even as it related to my relationship with her.
Right.
And my mother-in-law, she told me, she said, you have to stop being a coward. Stop crying all the time. And so what not a better way to exercise what she had gave me than to put her in up. No, just
you got back at my mama.
You learn by me yet.
So you was trying to get back at mama through me.
No. I used what mama gave me, the wisdom that she gave me, mama. The wisdom that she gave me, and use it against her daughter.
No, but that's true. But I'm serious, y'all. Perception and reality, you know, we don't want to fake the front, like they used to say, fake it till you make it. Now, baby, we ain't faking nothing.
Right.
Either we gonna make it, we gonna do or die. Which one we gonna do? Ain't no in between. You know, that faking till we make it. They went out with the WAP. You know, they went out, you know, with the K-Swiss and the jelly beans and all that old crap. Ooh, but anyway, either we gonna do or we ain't. And so, in order for us to do, we're going to have to sit down at the table and we're going to have to iron some things out. We're going to have to communicate and we're going to have to get some things straight so that the perception of our relationship, how we foresee it down the road, can become our reality. You see what I'm saying? My perception of our relationship, where it's going to be, may not be my reality right now.
True.
But long as I realize what my reality is, I can always work towards what I'm perceiving that relationship to be. I just don't want you to see oranges when it's really apples. Concerning perception from another standpoint. Because I can perceive some things for our marriage. But then other people also look at you and perceive things from when they look at you and try to size you up and sum you up. But again, guys, perception and reality, we must deal with where we at to get to where we're going. Cedric said, how do you keep it in check?
Hold on. Okay, go ahead. Let's deal with that. We coming back up.
How do you keep it in check as far as how do you keep you from revisiting that thing that you was raised around or that's in you that comes out of you? Man, you just got to be mindful. You got to be mindful. If she put it out there and she expressed the way she feel, the next time you got to catch it. You know what I'm saying? You got to be mindful. You got to think. It's going to cause you to focus a little bit more. You're going to have to, and I would even say, you know, just have some talks with yourself. You know, it's okay. People say, you talk to yourself, you crazy. Well, I talk to myself all the time. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? And you just have to be mindful of your actions. Be mindful even of your reactions. You know what I'm saying?
Especially your reactions.
Yeah,
because that's a determining factor.
Yeah.
On whether or not it goes uphill from there
or downhill.
Yeah. You know, I just think about it if I would have allowed her to, I'm not going to say allowed, if I would have been ignorant.
Right.
Because though she needed to stop addressing me in a certain way, I needed to learn how to address her, period.
Right.
It worked hand in hand.
Right.
Keeping it together by working it out. So there was some work on both of our ends. But had I not done anything, that thing that was there, whatever it was, could have grew wings. You know, and became more dominant, aggressive, and then it would have led to more unnecessary issues.